Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Hurricane Katrina, Race Against Time. This is a docuseries from National Geographic. It's from 2025. It's this year. It is very new, mainly because it's the 20th anniversary of the actual event. It happened in late August of 2005, and this five-part docuseries tells the story of possibly the biggest natural disaster in our history to date. At that time, you know what, my memory sucks so bad I can't think of anything that's worse that's happened since. Fingers crossed. Mainly because I live in California, and one of these days, National Geographic's going to do a documentary on the big one that hits eventually here. The difference between that and what we have here with a hurricane is that you can get pretty well ahead of it. In understanding that something's heading your way. And sometimes, they divert, and sometimes they're not so strong when they hit landfall. Sometimes they're a whole lot worse, as in the case of Hurricane Katrina. Earthquakes, you got maybe a few minutes. This, however, in a time before the iPhone was even released, a handful of people were able to document their experiences, and everything else we get is in the news, is news footage, news reporting, and interviews from the people who were there. At all levels of society, people who lived in all the different wards, the Ninth Ward and 7th Ward and all the different ones. There's lots of different areas throughout there. And a lot of it is populated by not so wealthy people who don't necessarily have the means to just pick up and go to their summer home. Or their winter home, or their whatever home they want to go to. Yeah, they don't really have that ability. They were given the Superdome. People were asked to leave their homes, evacuate, and leave their homes. And if you can't get out of town completely, but getting on the road that was packed, you were given a chance to sit in a bleacher seat in the Superdome where they play football, the New Orleans Saints. Yeah. So we get the view from the poor, the majority of the people who live in New Orleans and their surrounding areas, and we get to see the people who are the decision makers, and also the people who are responsible for preparing and rescuing those in need. So we get a lot of interviews that sort of pick up 20 years later that talk about what went wrong and what could have been done better, and their experience as everything falls apart real fast. As I was saying, with the hurricane, you can tell it's coming, and even before that, even a year before that, they even had plans. They had kind of a drill kind of situation with the people who know these kind of things, meteorologists, not necessarily meteorologists, but city people who, hey, Hurricane Pam, which is what they nicknamed it, what can they expect if they have ever had a Category 5 hit New Orleans? And they still weren't ready for what was to come. And honestly, while it was, I learned, I lived on the other side of the country at the time when this happened, so we just watched it on TV. And as terrifying as it was, I can't imagine being there. And there's plenty of blame to go around as to why things did not go as well as it could. Beyond how the wetlands all surrounding New Orleans, or along the shoreline, along the Gulf of Mexico, and everywhere around New Orleans, was quickly deteriorating, quickly disappearing. I wonder how man could have made that worse somehow. There is, and we're not going to go into that. You know what I'm talking about, and how if they would be prepared to move people out of a city in such a dangerous spot. A lot of them also, let's just say, I just watched the first episode. It's 44 minutes long. Each of them about 44 minutes long each. There's 5 of them. only takes us up to the part where the hurricane passes through initially, and then the waters start rising. Why? The levees just broke. Yeah. So we only get to that point at the end of the first episode, and it just goes downhill from there. Because when they've experienced the hurricane going through, it's like, oh, well, it's just 4 or 5 inches. That's not too bad. We've had worse. No, you haven't, because very quickly the water starts to rise and rise and rise and rise until houses are disappearing everywhere. There's people holed up in hotels that are not holed up in the Superdome. When the people in the Superdome see the electricity going out, and then they also notice that water is starting to pour in to the secure Superdome. Yeah, they're like, if it's raining in here, what's it like outside there? Because, yeah. So this takes you through the harrowing, step-by-step experience of what it was like to be there. It's not treated as if it was, a reality, like a recreation. No, there's no recreations in this. It is all built out of news footage, and the few people, or at least one guy, who was filming himself, which, again, before the smartphone, because he liked to film himself for doing certain things, and his experience in trying to get his mom out of town, and sort of staying and, yeah, doing what they can to protect things. And then when the hurricane's all over, the chaos isn't done yet. That is in the later episodes, and you get to see how the United States and FEMA and everything else, which, if it ever happens again, I don't think we have FEMA anymore. Did we? I think we got rid of FEMA. Or we didn't. Somebody got rid of FEMA. Or defunded it. So Florida, New Orleans, everybody around there in the Gulf of Mexico, run. Head north. If you ever, also they got rid of the early warning system for hurricanes, because if you don't know a hurricane is coming, then a hurricane doesn't exist, right? I'm just a little annoyed at some people and how their logic works. But yeah, if you want to get an understanding of what was going on 20 years ago, around this time, just a few months ago and 20 years ago, this is your chance to sort of relive it. I kind of want to finish off watching this series. It moves pretty quickly. It moves at a good pace. It doesn't bog you down with a whole lot of just dreary terror the whole time. It talks to the people who were there, and talks to the people in charge, or shows footage of the people in charge at the time, and yeah. So it's, for those of you who lived through it at that time, it won't be an easy watch, but yeah, you might get an understanding as to why it happened, why it was so bad, beyond just being a Category 5, just the worst it can get, and how it nearly destroyed, and very much did destroy, a good chunk of the New Orleans area. Even though it didn't directly hit New Orleans, the city itself, it got close enough to mess up so much stuff. And people lost their livelihoods, lost their homes, lost lives because of this. Because of our inability to be prepared. And our willingness to make sure that stuff like this continues to happen. I was going to say I'm going to pick tomorrow's episode. I already know what we're watching tomorrow. It's a weekend, so you know what? I'm going to pick up on something that I've been wanting to watch for a while, and it just showed up on Disney Plus a few weeks ago, and I didn't even realize it. So I decided I'm going to wait till the reset of the... It came out in September, like the end of September, out of nowhere. I didn't hear any fanfare. There was nothing on the list saying, "Oh, we're going to release this." Nope. Elio, the Pixar film, which I I don't know if a lot of people saw when it came out in June, I think. No, maybe June, somewhere around there, June. Yeah, Disney put out a lot of stuff this summer, and it kind of went under the radar for a lot of people. So, including myself, I wanted to go see it because I love Pixar films, and they're always a good time, but I didn't get a chance to see it myself. So tomorrow, we're finally watching Elio. You might have never seen it yourself, even though it was a Pixar film. And it was only in the theaters a few months ago. So Elio is what we're watching next from Disney Pixar on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.